Welcome to the Undisputed podcast. I'm your host, Jenny Taft. This podcast is the full show from today's episode of Undisputed from start to finish. They've got a busy slate, so Skip, Shannon, let's get to it.
Welcome to Undisputed. We are live from LA. I'm Jenny Taft here with Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharpe. Good morning on a Friday.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
Good morning.
Okay. Now I envision Dak Prescott playing 3 or 4 series on Sunday at high noon in the final preseason game in Dallas and getting completely ready to lead the Cowboys to 12-5 and a domination of the Leafs.
Whoa. What about a victory 2 weeks from yesterday?
Oh, that game.
Yeah.
We're going to get ready on Sunday for that game. We'll talk about that.
No, you're not. You're not getting ready for anything.
Yeah.
You had to get that out of the way
ready
quick.
for you.
All right. I know we're going to hit Dak. I promise you that. But actually, the Patriots, they are the quarterback team we need to discuss right now. They're preparing for their final preseason game on Sunday, and Mac Jones made the best of his time with the starters as Cam Newton sat out most of this week in practice. But Bill Belichick still won't tip his hand to which quarterback he's leaning towards. Yesterday, when asked about when he would make a decision on the starter, Belichick said, quote, "I don't have a timetable on that. I can't tell you." Shannon, how much will this last preseason game factor into Belichick's decision?
I don't believe it will, Skip. I believe Coach Belichick is probably 90% has his mind made up who he thinks is going to start or who he knows is going to start. It's hard for me to believe. Probably, arguably, the most prepared NFL coach in NFL history still is uncertain 2 weeks out from the season starting. I think he went into this, he's saying, you know what? Cam is my starter. In order for Mac Jones to become my starter, he's going to have to vastly outperform Cam Newton. Now, some people say, well, he's vastly outperformed Cam.
Some say that.
Some would say
in
that.
the media in the Northeast up near Foxborough.
Right.
Yep.
Tom Curran, I read a little piece on him, and he believes that it's Mac Jones' job that he's put this thing to bed. I don't believe that's the case. Now, a lot of things can happen. I believe both guys will probably play a series or 2. How much do you deduce from that? Not really certain. Could Cam possibly lose his job, Skip, over the next, say, 8-9 days of practice? I don't think so. My gut, my instinct tells me that Cam Newton is going to be the starter. Now, it's not telling me how long he's going to be the starter, but it's just going to say opening day, Cam goes out there with the number ones. I'm not so sure, Skip. Knowing Coach Belichick, after, I played against him, followed him since I've been in the media, he might not even declare until, he wants you to prepare for Cam and Mac.
Yep.
So he might not even say leading up to whoever they play. I think they play Miami to open today at home.
Yep.
I'm not so sure that he's going to say Cam is the starter or Mac Jones is the starter. But as I sit here right now and I try to look at what happened in the preseason and where this thing's going to go, I'm pretty certain that Cam is going to be the starter. How long Cam remains the starter, that's going to be up to Cam. How well they play, how well they look. Because, Skip, they got a tough schedule to get out the gate with. And so I believe this is a 10 or 11 win team. I believe this team can make the playoff. There's no doubt Coach Belichick believes that. Mr. Kraft almost demands it. He said, y'all done spent $160 million of my dollars in this offseason.
Yeah.
I'm going to get some playoff revenue for this kind of spending.
That is correct.
So I believe, I'm going to say right now, Skip, I'm going to say Cam is the starter.
Okay. So, big picture. As I sit back and watch this from a distance, I would not want to be in Bill Belichick's shoes right now.
Okay.
I believe that Bill Belichick, many call him the GOAT coach, is starting to be on a hot seat in New England thanks to that remark from that owner, Mr. Kraft, because he just basically said, hey, I need some bang for my bucks. I did it. They spent $232 total million in free agency.
Oh, I shorted him $72 million.
Okay, well, 159 is guaranteed, so that just went out the window in one fell swoop. He signed, the near future away, right? And he plunged into free agency the way I never thought I would see a Bill Belichick need to plunge into free agency, but that's how desperate he was. And he continues to make little big moves because he traded away Sony Michel because they're loaded at running back to get some future picks. And then he traded some of those future picks away to get Shaun Wade, the cornerback, because he's got an issue with Stephon Gilmore, and they're not sure. He's on the PUP list right now with some kind of quad injury, but is he holding out
Right.
or is he really hurt?
Right.
Hard to know, but he's a problem for him that is a thorn in Belichick's side right now because he's clearly the best DB, but they got a bunch of them.
Yes.
Okay, so now Belichick is sitting back. He got humiliated by Tom Brady last year. I don't care how you slice it. Coach Subway he got eaten for lunch by Tom Brady, basically, because Brady goes to Tampa Bay. It was 7-9. They were called the Succaneers. It's a pandemic. There's no preseason, and you know the rest of the story. On a torn MCL, he leads them all the way to the Super Bowl and wins what turned out to be a home Super Bowl. It's pretty impossible what he pulled off, and yet it heaped new pressure on Belichick, whose team slid into the sunset at what, 7-9. And they slid because Cam slid last year. He had a sensational start that game 2 night at Seattle. 30 of 44 for 397, third most yards he's thrown for in his whole career. And that's because the very first 2 games of Cam's career as a rookie were the only 2 above that.
Over 400.
And, were they? And he had a QBR of 77, which is very high. And he ran for 2 touchdowns. And they would have had maybe the win of the year if he just bounced it outside on the keeper at the end of the game. And it was 1st and goal at the 1, but it was last ditch because the clock was about to run out. And he lost a yard instead of scoring his 3rd touchdown rushing of the game. Okay, so we saw the great Cam, and then we saw him just sink into the sunset and finish 30th of 33 qualified quarterbacks in QBR. Not pretty.
No,
not a pretty sight. So Cam's not old. He's 32. He's played 10 years. This is year 11. So all of a sudden, here's Belichick, and he has a kid from Alabama he loves. Clearly, he loves him. And the kid is just getting better by the practice, it appears to me. I don't get to watch practice, but that's how it feels, right? He gets better by the snap in preseason games because he was really good at Alabama last year. And again, Coach Belichick, Coach Saban are pretty much joined at the hip. They're like-minded. They're sort of the same guy, right? And they sort of came up together in coaching. I don't know if Belichick has any real close friends, but that's a close
I would say
friend.
Saban. If he has a close friend, Coach Saban is it.
That would be it. So clearly, Nick is telling him, hey, this kid can play. He may not have the strongest arm, but he is a tough young man, both physically and mentally, and he will figure it out. If you give him a chance, he'll figure out how to win games. So I look at Mac Jones's numbers last year at Alabama. My God, 41 touchdowns to 4 interceptions.
He was sensational.
His QBR was 96, which ranked first in the country. He threw for country-leading 4,500 yards. He completed 77% of his passes.
That's a record.
Whew. And yet, do you discount because he had Devontae and he had Jalen Waddle.
Najee Harris.
And he had Najee. He could toss it out of the backfield. He can really catch it, as we're going to see in Pittsburgh.
First-round offensive lineman.
And Mechie is going to be their star this year, but he was there. So you still had your track team of receivers. And the offensive line was obviously probably the best in the country because it's just loaded with high picks.
Every year, correct.
Okay, so now he comes into camp, and slowly but surely, it looks like he's the future. Well, is the future now? Or Brady's coming to town in, game 4 of the year, okay? So
in about 6 weeks.
So Belichick is on a hot seat, both literally and figuratively, because he needs to figure out how to live up to the $232 million with the right quarterback. Well, I don't envy this choice because this is a tough one.
But let me ask you a question. Coach Belichick made it abundantly clear that Cam was a starter. Do you believe Mac Jones has been head and shoulders above Cam in the preseason? Because I think that's going to be the determining factor whether or not Coach Belichick is willing to make this move. Has Mac Jones been substantially better than Cam? I don't believe
I can't go substantially because the last time I laid eyes on Cam, he was going 8 of 9, and he looked really good.
He looked really good.
Yeah, like I got nothing. I have no complaint. I can't criticize anything about it. And is his arm stronger than Mac Jones? Yeah, stronger. Yeah. Did he win an MVP? Yeah. Do I know that Mac Jones can be great in this league? I don't know that for a fact.
Cam's more athletic. You can do more with the playbook than Cam. Now, I believe Mac Jones is more accurate. The way he does it, Skip, is by getting the ball out of his hand quick. Cam is going to buy some time and take off running. Mac Jones is going to use running as a last resort, not as a first option.
Agreed.
This kid, you watched him at that last game he played, Skip, the way he steps up in the pocket, climb the pocket, as they call it, to protect the ball, get the ball out of his hand. He was sensational. But he almost had to be because he had saw the performance that Cam had just put on. So you're following up Cam, Skip, is kind of like an act. You saw the opening, I was like, well, damn, they were that good? I make sure I got to be on my best behavior, too.
I agree. And Mac Jones is the classic, not gym rat, but film rat.
Yes.
And Dante Hightower gave him the highest compliment and said, I was so impressed that he was told that Mac was breaking down tape of their defense in practice so he could be better the next day in practice. And he said, you know what? That scores high points with me for that kid. So he's winning over a lot of the veterans. And a lot of some of the, I guess you'd call them key expatriates, starting with Rodney Harrison, that they have endorsed Mac as the starter. Ninkovich has. And we can just go, there have been 4 or 5 of them. So all of a sudden, Damian Woody has said that. Okay? So that will have some impact on Bill Belichick. And also having impact on Bill is the fact that we did have some COVID issue, and I still don't know exactly what happened, but it didn't look good for Cam. And even though Bill defended him a little bit and said he did not violate team rules, clearly he did not get vaccinated. He didn't get vaccinated. So clearly he violated a unity rule to me, and Belichick knows that. And then
we're team, we're family.
That's what I'm saying. It's family, and he violated something it's a family bond. You all need to be vaccinated because it's going to give you the best chance to win football games.
Coach Belichick is looking at it. Can I count him? I mean, he's unvaccinated. He gets this thing. That's automatic 10 days. And so what if he gets severe symptoms? It might be longer than that. And Skip, remember we was doing the analysis. Okay, one guy's vaccinated, the other guy isn't.
Okay.
Unless he's just head and shoulders. Light years better than the guy, then you're like, okay, fine, that's cool. But if they've been running neck and neck, the guy that's vaccinated, I'm probably going to lean towards him because I'm probably going to be able to count on him knowing that this COVID is out there and it's not going anywhere anytime soon.
Okay. And finally, you read little to nothing into this. I read a little more. But the day after Mac Jones' debut in Foxborough, during which, or as he was walking on the field, he got a standing ovation. And obviously, everybody roots for the backup quarterback, but he looks like he could be the future. So he played pretty well in his debut, albeit against 3rd and 4th stringers, and got rave reviews. And the next day, coincidentally or not, Cam posts loyalty, I deserve it. And he said later it was about a family matter, whatever. And you buy into the explanation. You're probably right, but all Belichick knows is it's not a good look because it's too coincidental. It sounds like you might be aiming that at the Patriots or the Patriot fans. You know, don't you give me any loyalty here?
Well, first of all, Cam Newton's smart enough. He's been around long enough. The last place you expect loyalty is where? If they let Tom Brady go.
They did.
They replaced Drew Bledsoe after he had taken him to a Super Bowl and got a $100 million contract. Just ask some of the guys, from Ty Law to Willie McGinnis to Lawyer Malloy. Logan Mankins, Richard Seymour. Loyalty? What? There is none of that there. There is no sentiment. Coach Belichick is the last coach I would expect to get any sentimentality out of. That's not what it is. It's a win-loss business. Can you help me win right now? Because if you can't, the guy that's behind you that I feel that he can help me win more than you, guess what? He's about to get up in there.
Okay. I said this from the start, and I believe this, that Mac Jones is a better fit for Bill Belichick long-term than Cam Newton.
Oh, there's no question about that, Skip.
And Belichick has never wanted his quarterback, because it wasn't Brady's way, to be a showman on the field. I love to watch Cam, but I loved him in his MVP year at Carolina when some people didn't. It was just, he's highly entertaining. Well, that's not the business that Belichick's in. Jerry Jones is in that business. Cam would be great for Jerry Jones. He would love that. He would get a kick out of all of the above. But in this case, I just don't know how long that's going to fly.
Right.
So if it's 50-50, I say the nod's going to the kid. But to your point, you have to be sure that the kid can take you a little higher this year than Cam could.
Especially at the start of the season, because the last thing, Skip, you want to do is get off to a shaky start and find yourself fighting an uphill battle. It's a lot easier to make the playoff, Skips, when you're probably 3-1, 3-2, 4-1, 4-2, as opposed to vice versa. Because now you got to go 3-0, Skip, just to get to 500. That's why it's such an advantage. That's why so many when teams start 0-2. How hard it is, Skip, for you to make the playoffs, because now you got to go 2-0 just to get to 500, and basically a quarter of the season's already gone. So the question is to Coach Belichick, is Mac Jones substantially, is he head and shoulders above Cam? Do you believe the first quarter of the season, your record would be better with Mac Jones than Cam Newton? Because if you can't answer yes, well, I think you go with Cam. If you answer yes, I believe at the quarter pole, if I start Mac Jones, my record would be equal to or better than with Cam. Well, Mac's your guy.
Okay. What's sticking in Belichick's craw right now is he has to look back at what happened last year. Cam got off to a great start, and they were 2-1, and it should have been obviously 3-0. They barely lost at Seattle. Didn't put the exclamation point on it.
Correct.
COVID hit Cam. He missed a week, the Kansas City game. He comes back. They lose 3 in a row. I don't know how much COVID hit him, but it could have hit him pretty hard.
Right.
And then the rest of the way, they're just not very good because they finish out the year going 5-7 with him at quarterback. Well, that's what's lingering in Belichick's mind is, am I going to see more of the same once the real games go?
Right.
Is that... Will I get maybe one great game, maybe 2 from him, and then a bunch of duds?
That's that could be still in Coach Belichick's mind. But also, Skip, yesterday, Mac Jones did not perform as good in practice as he did the day before.
Well, it sounds like the Giants took it personally because there was so much written and said about what a number he did on them. I think they actually game planned overnight, like, not again, not on our watch.
Take it from somebody that's been on a joint practice, that's lost one of these joint practices, and have Mike come in there and says, I don't know what that was, but that's not going to happen tomorrow. Oh, you best believe.
Okay. So that's fine.
They got pride too now, Skip.
Okay, but what will also linger in Belichick's psyche is what he witnessed firsthand. What was it, 35 of 40 completions the day before with no Cam on the scene.
And gave a little
low high five because the kid was on his knee.
Hey,
so, okay.
Between me and you, that real nice, son.
Okay, well, he doesn't do that. Those don't come often from him.
He's very stingy.
Okay, so here's my gut feeling. I believe that Belichick will decide he can win more games with Mac this year than Cam because he'll decide that Mac will be more consistent than Cam will be. That whatever you can get from this rookie starter, you'll just keep getting it game after game after game. He will not back off. He will not give in. He will not give up. And he will be unsinkable, unflappable. That if he has a bad quarter, he'll bounce back.
Right.
Where he's got the right makeup for Belichick. So I believe that he'll sit back, but he needs to see more. And that's why this is a weird year with only 3 preseason games. It feels like, and I could be wrong about this, but my gut is that a lot of teams were actually pointing to the last one as opposed to the middle one.
Correct.
Where this one, still with 2 weeks to go before the season starts.
And this is why, Skip, because this would be the equivalent. If you had a 4th preseason game, the 3rd preseason game, now, because, Skip, now it's still 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So it's the exact same thing.
Okay, so I disagree with your assessment of what might happen on Sunday evening.
Right.
It's at Giants, right?
You believe they both play?
I think they both play, and I think they play a good bit. Now, that'll depend on how they're going and how it looks to Belichick, but I could see it'll be fascinating to see who gets the start. I'm not going to be shocked if Mac Jones gets the start. I'm not going to be Coach Belichick wasn't no fake left go right, brother. Yeah. He gonna put Mac out there and have Mac's gonna be the starter opening day, and then come opening day Cam trots out there. It's possible.
I'm not gonna read anything into that. Okay. But if they both play, Skip, I believe Cam gets 1, 2, maybe 3 series. Mac probably closes it out to the half, maybe starts the 3rd quarter, and then you bring Brian Hoyer in to finish out the game.
Okay, so the point is, Belichick will not be closely grading Cam's performance. He knows what Cam is and what he isn't.
Correct.
He just knows.
Right.
You got lots of body of work. I think this kid will get the equivalent of about a half of football. And I think that if he continues to light it up the way he's been, or just to function at the high level that he's functioned at, consistently make good reads and accurate throws, I believe he will cap it off and win the job on Sunday evening.
I'm just going with Cam. Based on this running game with Damian Harris, they traded Sonny Michel. They got this young kid in there from Oklahoma, Skip, who's been sensational.
Trust me, I said this. I tweeted this on draft day when they stole him in the 4th round. I know him inside and out. I know him from watching my Sooners.
Right.
He can be a star if Belichick will let him. And that is a huge part of this puzzle because they're going to run the heck out of it. Listen, Ramondre Stevenson, he can bash you and he can dash you.
Oh, yeah.
He's big and powerful, and he's got speed to him. He's got acceleration to him.
Yeah.
I'm talking about star quality, but Belichick's got to feature him and let him go. And they usually do it more by committee.
Yeah. You're not getting the whole. There's not going to be a situation, Skip. If you go back and look at it over the last probably 15 years, they've been a committee type. Ain't nobody getting no 30 carries. Every once in a while, LeGarrette Blount would get 25 carries, Skip. But more times than not, it was, Burkhead, is this guy, is that guy. They might end up with 40 carries, but you got one guy with 13, one guy with 10, one guy with 5.
I mean, maybe he's the LeGarrette Blount now, but still, he's going to have big impact. And he was the reason that Sonny Michel is a Ram. Okay?
I had a feeling that was coming.
And he can also be a reason that that he'll be more comfortable going with Mac. It might be.
You're right. But Skip, remember last year opening day, Cam ran for like 75 yards. They ran Miami basically up out of the building. I believe
and he also watched Cam get battered through the year. It's just hard to take that much punishment after 10 years of it.
Right. But I'm going to go with Cam. I'm still stick with that. I think I said yesterday, 52-48, that Cam starts. I'm going to stay with that.
And I'm going with what the Hall of Famer across from me told me, that the readiest rookie quarterback is Mac Jones to play in the NFL. Not going to be the best of the class, but the readiest. Yeah,
well, I mean, based on for what I've seen from all the guys playing in the preseason, now clearly he has more around him than the two guys the guys that were selected from him, and we're not going to start Zach Wilson and Trevor Lawrence. He has way more around him than those guys, but I think he's more ready to start than Justin Fields and Trey Lance.
Okay, and that's why I believe he will.
No, Cam.
No mercy. Guys, the news just keeps getting better in Dallas. Dak Prescott, by all accounts, is over his strained lat muscle. Offensive coordinator Kellen Moore told reporters that when it comes to Dak, quote, we're not looking at anything from a limitation standpoint. We're playing football. We are ready to rock and roll. So this, of course, got Skip to post a video challenging Jerry Jones to play Dak in Sunday's preseason finale. So, Shannon, can you see Jerry playing Dak on Sunday?
I don't. I think they've made it abundantly clear, Skip. Jerry and Steven said the preseason is unimportant. Say Dak will be ready to go September 9th, and that was the date that they were targeting. So for me, I would like to see Dak play. I mean, the guy hadn't played in 11 months. You'd like to see him get some rhythm, some timing behind the offensive line. They haven't blocked for Dak in 11 months. Dak hadn't thrown a pass to these receivers in an actual ball game in 11 months. So, I would like to see him play. Do I believe that he's going to play? No, I do not, because the coach, Jerry Jones, and the assistant head coach, Stephen Jones,
have said a fact.
Said, Skip, it's not important. The preseason is not important. Dak doesn't really need it. So I'm anticipating Dak's not going to play, and he's gearing up for September 9th. They said he's not on the pitch count, but it'd be interesting to see actually how many throws he actually threw. If I remember correctly, we had 7 periods, about 10 plays in every period. Wasn't all up and throwing, Skip. Obviously, you run the ball sometimes. So I'm saying on a good day, if we had one-on-one, we would probably, John would throw somewhere between 30 and probably 50 passes. So if he's not on the pitch count, how many throws did he actually throw yesterday? Was it 20? Was it 30? I don't believe he threw more than that. So it's going to be interesting to see as they start to build him up with throws, Skip, is he sore the following day? As long as he doesn't have a setback, he should be on target to be ready to go and take this butt cutting that is going to happen to him on September 9th. So that's what I'm anticipating.
Okay, so when I heard this news late yesterday afternoon, no more pitch count, no more limitations, ready to rock and roll.
You started doing cartwheels.
I did. It was the best news I've had through the whole offseason. And it just did my heart good because there's been so much bad news because I went from figuring out that Dak didn't have just one ankle surgery, he needed a second one to get it right. He's got a wishbone scar, as we saw in episode 1 of Hard Knocks, to the most mysterious arm injury I've ever heard in all my career covering your sport, the National Football League, happened to a quarterback.
Right.
What? A pulled muscle, a lat muscle sort of in the back of your shoulder? A baseball injury to a football quarterback that neither of us have ever heard of?
No.
Never heard of it.
Nope.
Ever, ever, ever. What is up? Is it just a bad break? It's crazy. It's the biggest curveball any team got thrown through the preseason this year.
Right.
Is that this quarterback, now making $75 million this year, missed the entire preseason. Anything that mattered, he missed it.
Right.
He missed the joint practice with the Rams.
Correct.
He missed the first padded practice, remember, because that's when it first happened, right? We got to see it on episode 1 of Hard Knocks.
Correct.
He missed every preseason game to date. So it dawned on me last night that, as I said in the video that I posted, Jerry, you are the unofficial head coach. He's not even unofficial. He's the head coach.
He's the head coach.
Am I right?
Yeah.
Everything emanates. The Bucs stops on Jerry's desk.
Correct.
And the Bucs are about to run over Jerry Jones because I'm talking about the Tampa Bay Bucs, right? The point is that it's his call and his call only.
Yeah.
He could pick up the phone right now and call Mike McCarthy, his puppet coach, and just tell him, hey, this is on a silver platter for us. Just because it looks like Dak is back 100%, he was cutting it loose yesterday. We're okay. We're right on schedule. Let's just give him 2, 3, 4 series, feel of it, see how it goes.
Right.
Because it is crucial, to your point, after 11 months of no football, with career-threatening ankle surgeries twice and a weird arm injury, he needs to get his feet wet again.
Right.
He just needs to feel what it feels like in live action. He needs to get his legs underneath him, maybe feel some people fall around him in the pocket, just so he can get his confidence back with his ability to plant with his ankle.
Right.
The ankle seems to be zero problem.
Right.
I don't know. It seems like he's 1,000% confident.
Are you going to be comfortable playing your other starters? Because you got to play your offensive line. You start offensive line.
I'm good with it.
Right, okay.
You know, every once in a while, it's football.
Okay.
You just have to risk it. I know it, and you would risk somebody getting hurt.
Right.
Jerry, how what a fool you were.
Because
right?
you know that's coming.
Okay. But you need your coach, speaking of motivational speeches, which is not his forte, but you need him to tell all of them, we're going to go in there and play full force football for 2 or 3 series.
Right.
Just go in there and let it fly because we all need to feel like Mahomes has been playing high reps, man, in preseason games. And Andy Reid said, I need him to feel the whole line's new. They're all the starters across the board. They're all new.
Correct.
I need him to get a feel for the chemistry and the flow of the offensive line.
Correct.
He's got a brand new rookie center. I need him to take some snaps. I need to see it under fire.
Basically, everybody's new. They got 5 new starters.
That's what I'm saying. And Creed Humphrey's a rookie from Oklahoma. He's really good, but I told you, Patrick screamed at him the other night, call it! Because he's got to call how they're going to block, wherever the protection is.
His head is spinning so fast.
Yes, and it's spinning okay, Dak needs to feel of that. I would feel, seriously, if he got through, let's just do 3 good series.
Okay.
And we saw him make 4 or 5 good throws.
Right.
And I'm talking about CD's got to be out there, Amari's got to be out there, Gallup's got to be out there. Again, Zeke, you don't have to play.
Right.
I'm good with that. But Pollard is a pretty good 1A, and I wouldn't feel threatened for Dak's sake with Pollard in the backfield.
Right.
He knows how to play, and he knows the blitz pickup. He'll be just fine.
Right.
Okay? Blake Jarwin is back, and he's really good, and he's made a couple of catches. Let's get everybody back in the flow. I would feel 100% better about September 9th, solo stage, Thursday night at Tampa, the NFL season opener, if Dak just had a little confidence under his belt after 11 months away from real football.
Right. I think the thing, Skip, I know you said you'd like to see in 3 or 4 series, but if he went out there and they put the drive together, let's just say for the sake of argument, they did 12, 14 plays. They went 80 yards for a touchdown.
I'd be good with that. All right.
I'm good.
Okay. if he's good, you got to monitor.
Right.
You got to vibe with
Right.
it. And Kellen Moore can get in Dak's head. You feel good? You
Right.
feel good? You want another one?
But Skip, they're going to beat Skip. This was a 1 month injury when they said it's going to be 2 to 3 days. I believe they're going to be extremely, extremely cautious with Dak leading up to that September 9th. See how he comes out of that game and then try to build from there. The one thing you don't want to do, Skip, is is overtax him with throws. Like, yeah, he's not on a pitch count, but you're not going to let Dak go out there and start throwing 30, 40 times a day. You're going to keep it, you're going to minimize it. Keep it around 20,
okay,
25 maybe.
Okay, now you're telling me he's back on a pitch count.
Yeah,
now you're telling me he's being monitored. He has some limitations.
Skip, they're not going to say pitch count, but they're not going to let Dak throw the ball more than 20 times, 25 times in a day. And to build on that. Because the one thing that you don't want to have, you believe this team can win the division. You believe this team can win a playoff game. Let me tell you what you don't believe, that they can do any of those things without Dak Prescott.
Sure.
That's what you don't believe.
No, I got it.
Okay.
You know that.
Yeah.
But I don't believe this team can win at Tampa on opening Thursday night. But I'd give it a whole lot better chance as a 7.5-point underdog, according to Fox Bet, if he felt a little better about himself, because the scenario you just painted for me is the worst case, where you're sort of tiptoeing into that game saying, well, let's kind of see how it goes. And if they fall behind, whoever I don't know who the backup's going to be, probably Cooper Rush.
But that's the thing that you don't want to have happen, Skip. You don't want to have happen that you fall behind and you ask Dak now all of a sudden in a meaningful moment, go throw the ball 50 times in a game when he hasn't had those kind of throws the entire season. He might not go an entire practice this year, Skip, where he throws the ball that much. They won't say it, but they're not going to let Dak just throw the football in practice like he normally would because of this injury, because it seems like something that might reoccur.
Well, is it? Because that's not what I heard yesterday. And you've dealt with muscle pulls. I've had a few in my time. Usually, once you defeat it, it stays defeated. Again, the worst one is the hamstring.
Right,
that's the one that's the iffiest, because it's the biggest muscle in your body. But for this kind of strain, once you have it at bay, usually you just forget about it and go on, and it's okay.
I don't know, Skip.
Okay. Well, are you rooting for him to get hurt?
I'm just saying I've seen pictures and they struggle with, back tightness or and they're like, okay, we're going to put him on the AL. We're going to shut him down for a couple of days.
Okay, but that's usually like elbow inflammation. That's hard to beat. Anything that's leading toward Tommy John. But this is supposed to, if I'm having to go on what they're telling us, that it's a muscle strain.
Right.
Okay, you've had, what was it, July 28th was the day you did it.
And what's the one way to make sure a muscle strain come back? When you overtax it. Even when you pull a hamstring, Skip, they don't let the guy come back and run the same amount of plays in practice leading up. They're like, look, we would rather have you 100% for the game.
That's the scariest of all.
Yes, even the groins, it's like, look, we're going to such and such.
I agree. That's the second scariest.
We're gonna just monitor it. I mean, we have some guys like Julio have struggled with hamstring, and he's very, very limited in practice. Isaac Bruce struggled with hamstrings. He practiced very, very limited in practice because of those issues. So I just think the thing for me, Skip, sure, I would love to see Dak take a series, but hearing the coaches talk, unofficial, okay, like you said, official coaches, Jerry and Stephen Jones, they said preseason wasn't important. It wasn't important that Dak got in there.
They were trying to downplay the negative impact of your quarterback has a weird injury.
Right.
And they're who cares about the Well, now you got a break. He suddenly bounced completely back, according to all the reports yesterday.
Right.
Felt like he was 100%. Well, magically, you've got one game left, and it's at home, so it's no big deal. It's Jacksonville. It's high noon on Sunday.
Oh, yeah, I played against Jacksonville.
Huh?
Yeah, they can put me in there against Jacksonville.
Well, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll take that.
I mean, Jacksonville's struggling a little bit, Skip.
Okay, fine.
So it's a prime situation.
Just do it.
Yeah.
It's okay. Just let him play a little bit. Everybody, the whole team would feel so much more confident going to Tampa. Even if you got a 12-play, 85-yard drive to start off, I'd take that.
Even his mesh is on the handoffs.
Yeah.
Dak hadn't handed off in a game. We talk about throwing. There's other aspect to the game, Skip, than just throwing the football.
Thank you.
The handoff, the stretch plays, and just his footwork and the field people around him like, okay, I'm good.
I got it. Because they're going to walk on the field against the defending champs on a Thursday night with the whole NFL world watching. And the team's going to be looking sideways. Is he going to make it through the game? I don't want that.
Right, no.
Right?
No.
Okay. No. Play him, Jerry. I command you. Jerry never listen to anybody.
Exactly.
We'll see if he sent that video to Jerry. We'll have to see. We're going to totally shift gears here. To say things got heated after the Tyron Woodley Jake Paul press conference, well, that would be an understatement, guys. Someone from Paul's camp was talking trash to Woodley's mother, and quickly after, pushing and shoving occurred in a heated exchange. And after the incident, Woodley said in an interview, quote, "Don't care if you kill my friend, but you never disrespect my mom." And then also proclaimed, quote, "You'll see people disappear." Shannon, was this real or fight hype? What was this?
I think it was some realness to it, but Skip, it's hype. I mean, it's not getting the buzz. Hell, I had forgotten about it until, I'm watching the press conference yesterday. For whatever reason, it hadn't generated the buzz that I thought it would. Because, Skip, it's not like Tyron Woodley is just a guy off the street. He's a comeback, or he was a champion in the UFC.
Yep.
And
5 times he was.
Right, and we know who
he's probably a top, at least you go to top 3 welterweight of all time.
Yeah, and we know who Jake Paul is. And he's done.
Do we? Well, I don't know.
He's a YouTuber, but he's done a great job of marketing himself as a fighter. And he's like, look, I'm taking this serious. I put my time in. I can throw the hook. I can throw jabs. I can throw combos. I can put punches together. And you're going to see that. You've only seen, a fraction of what I'm capable of doing. Tyron Woodley. And I think the thing is, Skip, anytime we see situations like this, we saw Conor McGregor and Floyd. Nobody really was doing it better than Muhammad Ali because he stayed getting up under people's skin. And people wanted to see, a lot of times people want to see, is he going to do what he says he's going to do? Or, man, I just want to see him get beat. And that's what Floyd. People just turned to watch Floyd's fight just to see him lose, to say, I saw Floyd Mayweather lose. Well, all I hope is that Tyron Woodley takes the sport serious. He takes this guy serious. You can't say because I was a combat fighter that I'm gonna be straight. Skip, no more than I can say because I was an ex-football player, I would be good at basketball or I would be good at baseball. No, you better respect the sport for what it is. It's not something that you're used to. This kid has seemed to have taken it serious. He's put the time in the gym. He understands how to throw punches. He understands how to put punches together. He understands how to walk people into punches because he walked Nate Robinson. And I understand Nate Robinson. I don't believe Nate took it as serious as he needed to and walked him into a punch. But I think if Tyron Woodley takes this fight serious, he could cause this kid some problems.
Okay. I see everything you just talked about completely upside down from the way you just presented it to me. I am very into this, and I think it's going to be a big deal, and I'm going to be on the edge of my seat watching it on Sunday evening.
Were you big in before or after they got into it at the press conference?
Do you remember we had Jake Paul on the show?
Yes.
I'm into Jake Paul because I think he's legit.
Yeah.
I think he's for real. I told him this when we had him on the show.
Right.
I don't think he's just a hype master. I don't think he's all P.T. Barnum, hurry, step right up and watch this.
Right.
I don't think he's trying to convince people to watch something that's not real. I think he is taking this dead seriously, and I think watching Tyron Woodley yesterday, he's taking it dead seriously, so to speak. I also, last night, got so fascinated by what happened at that Jenny just talked about, that I started watching the All Access on Showtime. It was an hour long. I only intended to watch it for 5 minutes. I just wanted to get the drift of it, and I couldn't quit watching it on both their counts because they're both fascinating the way they're building up to this fight. I believe Jake Paul will beat him badly. I believe Jake Paul is a legit boxer from everything I've seen and heard about him, and he wants to take it up to the highest level where he is competing. Well, we'll see. We'll just watch. I think he is a legit boxer. And his brother, I got to tell you, I think he's better than his brother. And his brother gave Floyd all he wanted, and Floyd did not take it seriously and was not in any kind of condition. But I thought Logan Paul beat Floyd. I thought he outpointed him.
And plus, the thing you have to understand that that Logan Paul went in the fight probably 40, 50 pounds heavier than Floyd.
He was. He's just too big for Floyd.
In order for me to take these guys serious, they're going to have to take somebody, get one of these guys that just fought in the amateurs.
Okay, I got it. He's working his way up the ladder. Now, he is much bigger than Tyron Woodley, much bigger.
Yeah.
So he's going to have a distinct reach and weight advantage over Tyron Woodley.
6'1" versus 5'9".
Hey. But Tyron Woodley is a tough young man.
He's right.
He's an aging young man.
Yeah, he's 39 now.
I shouldn't call him a young man. When we've had him on in here, he seems like a young man.
Right.
He talked like a young man when he was so offended by what happened with his mom. And by the way, when I looked at the video, his mom was giving as well as she took. And she is highly respected in MMA circles because she has been there from the start with Ty Woodley.
Right.
And she's been known to, when he beats an opponent, she'll go console the opponent.
Right.
She's made of the right stuff. She's a by all accounts, a big-hearted, good-hearted woman. And I hated that it even escalated to this.
Right.
But it happens.
Right.
And yet, Ty Woodley took this so seriously. If you watch the video of him speaking, he is outraged by this. And he starts to talk about he don't know this lifestyle. You know, I'll shake this whole of the room. You know, you ain't never seen the likes of what I will do. I'll start hurting people. You'll start seeing orange, which is Paul's team's colors, start dropping and hitting the floor. And as Jenny read, you know, I'll make people disappear. He's from Ferguson, and that is the life.
Right.
Okay, and I get that. And it came across as very legit. It didn't seem like staged or choreographed.
You got to set it, Skip. You got to be believable. Now, see, he got you. Gonna have a couple of more people by the fight. Right. All I'm hoping.
So you're saying it was all hyped? It was all staged.
Yeah, I ain't about it.
Really?
I just hope Woodley took this fight serious. Mm-hmm. He's prepared.
Oh, he's taking it very seriously. Trust me.
But you believe Paul, Jake Paul's gonna get him out of there?
I do, because he's just too big and long for him and too skilled. And I don't think that Tyron Woodley, his boxing skills in MMA and in UFC competition were not his forte.
No.
So he threw like long looping punches. You can't get away with that in here. This kid, this Jake Paul, he is training to be a boxer. And I like his hand action. I like his ring movement. He's legit to me. You're going to see he's legit.
But, and I told him he better leave Canelo alone, though.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's his goal.
No. Well, I mean, if he lets Canelo get to be 40.
Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, 45.
It may take that long for him to work his way up to that.
But, I mean, real boxers his size, got no chance. I mean, that kid's, 185, 190 pounds?
Yeah, he told me when I asked him, I said, what are you, about 190? And I think he told me he was 205.
Yeah, Skip, that's like heavyweight.
Okay, it is. I agree.
Man, he get crushed.
Yep. Well, unless you work up to it, unless you're good at what you do.
But I did a piece with Pac-Man Jones. Mm-hmm. Pac-Man Jones is fighting tonight in Charleston, West Virginia. He says he'll fight Jake Paul at 175.
Okay. I'd watch it.
I'll definitely watch the homie get with it.
Okay. All right. Well, we're
going to make that happen. You want to make that happen?
Do we get a cut?
I'll make we get a cut.
Okay. All right. Well, it sounds like you won't be watching on Sunday night.
I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna watch it just because. Just because I know you're going to talk about it, and I'm hoping Woodley show. Woodley, all I'm asking is just don't do what Nate Robinson did.
You want to just put one case on?
No, I don't want to put nothing.
For fun. Just
nothing.
For fun.
Come on.
Nothing.
How about one bottle?
Because Nate told this was for the culture, this for the homies, this for the NBA, and then he'll meme for the rest of his life. Just don't become a meme. That's all. Just don't become a meme.
Okay.
Okay, but we will watch it. Maybe not.
Yeah, I'll watch it. Yeah, I'm gonna watch it.
You gotta give. I think Jake Paul after we
ain't anything else on TV skip Sunday night.
There's Mac versus Cam. That'll work, right?
Okay, once Mac and Cam get up out of there, you gonna still watch it?
Yeah, we'll be watching. Okay, well, the Paul brothers, I got to give it to them. They do create hype and excitement around this one. I'm looking forward to it, at least to see how it plays out.
No mercy.
LA Times columnist Bill Plaschke did not hold back on why the Lakers letting Jared Dudley walk away and sign with the Mavericks as an assistant coach would hinder LeBron's chances at another ring. Plaschke described Dudley as the, quote, last guy on the bench, but the strongest voice in the locker room. On a veteran team of desperate personalities, he was the glue. Amid a laborious season filled with lulls, he was their muse. Shannon, on a scale of 1 to 10, how big of a loss, and be honest here, is Jared Dudley?
I'm going to say something like a 3 or 4.
3 or 4?
Yeah.
You disagree with LeBron James?
No, I mean, Skip, look, I understand, but I don't think that's going to have an impact. Sometimes, Skip, front office people, they only can see your value on the court. How many points you score, how many rebounds, how many assists you got. But sometimes the locker room presence. And I get that Jared Dudley was not the guy that filled the stat sheet. He was a locker room presence. LeBron believed in him. AD believed in him. Oh, I guess LeBron isn't running the Lakers. You remember, you've been peddling that for the longest time. LeBron's running the Lakers. LeBron running the Lakers. Now, it's been reported that LeBron wanted him. AD wanted him. So I guess they're not running the Lakers after all.
Well, I'm going to question you about that as soon as you hand the ball back to me.
I ain't had the ball to you just yet. Skip, and I do believe Dudley wanted to return. I believe if the Lakers wanted him to return, Skip, they could have found a role for him. Hey, why can't he be on the staff at the Lakers? He don't have to be on the front row. He could be on the back row.
Great question.
But he could have still been in the locker room.
Okay.
But like I said, I think once training camp rolls around and the season starts, the guys understand there's a task at hand. There's something that needs to be accomplished. And I'm sure all those guys would have loved Duds to still remain there. That's not the case, but you still got to go do your job. I remember, Skip, when I left, and Mike told me once I got back, he said, 84, I didn't realize what a locker room presence. A lot of things that you took care of and a lot of the veteran guys took care of, all of a sudden I found myself it leaking out on the practice field. It ended up getting on my desk.
So you were the Jared Dudley of the Denver Broncos, right?
I was the senior statesman, Skip. I handled a lot of things.
You actually played, right?
I did play, Skip. But also a part of my role was not only to play and make plays, Skip. I also, because I was a senior statesman, had been in the locker room and understand the dynamics of a locker room and the personalities of a locker room. And so a lot of that, a lot of things that you try to take care of so it doesn't become a bigger issue and something Mike needs to deal with. Okay. So I felt that was my role.
Why was LeBron so devastated in the 2 tweets that he posted midweek this week?
Because I think he voiced that he wanted Dudley. And I think he voiced like, look, guy, I get it. He's not giving us 12 a night. He's not giving us 5 rebounds. He's not giving us 4 assists. But some things you can't measure what he does provide.
As LeBron said, for many reasons you would not understand.
Yes. Okay. And I believe that's what he's talking about.
Okay. So back to Bill Plaschke. I've known Bill for God knows how many years, and I have nothing but the highest regard for him. He is a great writer. He is knowledgeable, he is plugged in, and he is insightful. Yet, when I first glanced at this headline last night, Lakers' failure to retain Jared Dudley is crazy and a huge blow to a title run. When I read that, I thought it was a parody piece. I thought it was going to be dripping with sarcasm that he would be making fun of LeBron for making such a big deal of a guy who barely played for the Lakers. That's what I thought.
Yes.
And as I read, it was quite the opposite. Bill Plaschke writes, he was the last guy on the bench, but the strongest voice in the locker room. Silly me, I thought that would be one LeBron James.
But he was a guy, Skip, that when things weren't going well, he could tell LeBron, nah, bro, that's not right. That's not what we had talked about. AD, I need you to do this. Remember, we had talked about switching this. You were supposed to take that. He was the guy, Skip. You need that guy in the locker room. Because how many guys did you think in that locker room is going to come to LeBron and say, LeBron, you were wrong in this situation? How many guys going to be able to go to AD? Sometimes it needs to be someone other than the 2 superstars that's able to correct the superstars.
It made me sit back last night and think, did Michael Jordan need like a conscience in the locker room? There's nobody who ever said a word to Michael Jordan because he did it.
Okay, so what was Phil Jackson?
LeBron needed a sounding board.
What was Phil Jackson?
Well, whatever. So you're telling me Frank Vogel is chopped?
It's Phil Jackson.
Okay, well.
Is that what you're telling me?
Well, I don't know. Did Jared Dudley tell LeBron you're out of line here?
I believe he did, yes. I believe he could. I believe he could. Skip, it's the same situation in Miami. Look at UD. Udonis Haslem. Udonis Haslem. Why is it different? Tell me why.
He's such a contributor on the floor. You have to be able to back it up on the floor before you can do it in the locker room.
But see, what did you say? As an English major, when you said he was, what would the yes?
But he did it once upon a time, and Jared Dudley never really did it. Most he ever averaged in this league was 13 a game.
That's pretty good.
Really?
Skip, UD was better. UD was an enforcer, but UD
he was seen as on-court heart and soul of that team.
Yes,
right.
But Duds was a good player, Skip. Was he a great player? No. But like I said, sometimes it's more than points, rebounds, and assists.
Okay, so now to the scenario of what just unfolded. The tweets indicate that LeBron got blindsided by this, like he did not see this coming, because he tweeted, if this is true, like I don't even know if this is true or not. So back to your point. LeBron James is by far the most important Los Angeles Laker. Yeah. He is the face of the franchise and the face of the NBA. Mm-hmm. So clearly, if this were unfolding, the first thing that would happen would be Jared Dudley would pick up his cell phone and call LeBron or text him and say, hey, they don't want me back. And guess what? I got an opportunity to be an assistant coach on the front row with J. Kidd in Dallas.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. So at that point, LeBron would call Pelinka and say, hey, we can make this happen.
Right.
Let's make him an assistant on the Lakers. Because that's basically what he was an assistant coach, because he barely played.
Right.
He played a grand total of 81 minutes the whole year last year, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Did that happen? I don't know if it happened. And furthermore, you can now have 15 players on a roster. Why couldn't he be the 15th player making the veterans minimum?
Right.
Okay. 13 dress. Well, given his role, he doesn't even need to dress, because I got to tell you, and I know Jared pretty well, he never kept himself in the greatest shape because he barely played, right? And he looked more and more.
No, he was in tip-top shape. That's just what he looked like.
Okay. But he looked more and more as he aged like some guy in a headband you'd see at the Y at noontime trying to get in the game.
I used to see him all the time at Equinox, and they're hooping.
All right.
And he just looked like that guy. And that's the mistake a lot of people like, oh, man, Jared Dudley, I see him going at him online. Bruh, that's a professional. That's an NBA player.
He is.
Ain't no average Joe just gonna beat him.
Okay, I got it. So why wouldn't, if he's essential to a title run, why wouldn't Rob Pelinka or even Jeannie Buss say, hey, we got to find a spot, because it's easy to find a spot for a guy who doesn't play.
It's the same thing with Tom Brady. Why would Coach Belichick let this man go? He's essential to a title run.
Okay, well, you just compared Jared Dudley to Tom Brady.
Skip, what we think and what the locker room thinks is not sometimes what the front office thinks. No, I'm not comparing Jared Dudley, no Tom Brady, but I'm saying how the front office view a player as opposed to how he's viewed in the locker room is something entirely different. Okay. That's all I'm saying. No, there is no comparison.
Okay, and to your point, here's a line from Plaschke talking about Kyle Kuzma was asked on Twitter to cite his greatest teammate ever, and he responded, duds, and it's not even close.
Right.
What does that say for LeBron?
Yeah.
You wouldn't say LeBron James is my greatest teammate?
What you mean greatest? You mean the greatest player he's ever played with? That's a no-brainer. But Skip, just because
teammate.
Hold on. So let me get. So I just want to make sure I'm hearing you correct. So every player that's ever played with Tom Brady, when they say, well, who's my greatest teammate? You believe they're going to say Tom Brady?
Well, I think
no bunch. No, it's got to be 100%. Because why else would they say someone else if it's not Tom Brady? That's the thing, Skip. You can't do that. You can't. See, you quick to deduce. Well, if LeBron James, no. John Elway wasn't my greatest teammate, and that's okay.
In this sport, only 5 can play at once, and a grand total of 13 are on the roster.
Greatest teammate is
as
something.
As opposed to 53 players, and Tom Brady's played 20 years.
Skip, being the greatest player doesn't mean the greatest player that you've played with. There are other things that go into doing this, being a great teammate. You just think it has to be whomever the best player is, that's got to be my best teammate. That's not the case.
Okay, this is the easiest political battle LeBron could ever try to win. It's just easy. Call Jeannie and just say, hey, find a place for him. It's as simple as that.
But that's what you always said. So you say LeBron's running the Lakers. Well, Jared Dudley's not there. Now all of a sudden he's not running the Lakers.
Well, is this tweet just for show? Is it for real?
What you mean?
About the devastation that he's displaying.
I'm sure he is. But I don't believe, Skip, you ask me the level of concern as far as going to winning a championship. I don't believe it's going to have the impact that Bill Plaschke believes that it's going to have. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying it's not a significant loss or it's an important loss. I just don't believe.
You are disagreeing publicly with your man LeBron James, and this is another time that you've done that. You are. He's devastated publicly. So I thought you would go to an 8 or a 9 on the degree of loss.
Okay, Skip. But the headline says this could be a blow to their title run. Mm-hmm. I don't believe it's going to be a blow to their title run. Do I believe LeBron is disappointed? I do. Do I believe he's upset? I do. Do I believe the organization, they based this solely on what doesn't give us points, rebounds, and assists, and didn't see any value inside the locker room? There's another reason why, Skip. They're never in the locker room. Kurt Rambis is not in the locker room. Rob Pelinka is not in the locker room. Jeannie Buss is not in the locker room, and that's okay.
Maybe Kurt Rambis would be occasionally.
Occasionally.
Just because he played and he would be more accepted.
But Mike didn't know the locker room. The coaches didn't know. No. Mr. B didn't know the locker room like I did.
All the coaches I was ever around on your level,
yes,
they don't walk through the locker room. Jimmy, occasionally, if he had something he needed to say to somebody, right, but it was a pointed mission where he's saying, I'm going to go tap him on the shoulder, right, and tell him that today you're not going to practice.
The only coach that really came in my years in Denver, Skip, when I got with Mike, the only guy that came through the locker room, the only coach was the running back coach, Bobby Turner, because he came in because he knew we were going to make jokes. We look forward to making the jokes every day, and he looking forward for us to go. But other than that, Skip, when they got because the cafeteria, was right on the outside, they would come down the back way to the elevator, get their food, go back up. But Bobby T, nope, he wanted to get these jokes, and we wanted to give them to him.
Okay. So, let's flip this around and look at it through Jared Dudley's eyes,
right,
because we're ignoring what his ambition might be here. So it's possible that Jared sat back, and even if they did have some role for him, right, somewhere,
right,
in the bench or second row coaching, right, as an assistant,
right,
maybe he's saying, gee, now we got Russ and LeBron and AD. Maybe I don't want to try to referee that. Maybe I don't want to mediate that. Maybe that's a little too much for me to have to.
No, he real on thing and said he wanted to be there. And he said Rob and Kurt told him that they were going with the younger guys. He said, although I understood, I disagreed with them. So he wanted to be there. He made it abundantly clear in a tweet.
Well, I don't know. He's also quoted liberally in this Flashy piece. But it's also possible that he befriended Jason Kidd, because obviously he's an assistant, and maybe he believes in Jason Kidd more than he does in Frank Vogel, and maybe he's looking at Dallas as a much younger team with a very young superstar that you love.
I love Luka,
and maybe Jared's thinking, hey, maybe that's the way to fly now, because I'll have a longer tenure in Dallas than I would with the Lakers, because this thing's just a year or two from blowing up.
The way I look at it, Skip, the young lady that wants me is always more appealing to me than the gorgeous lady that doesn't. The appealing lady to him was, guess who wanted him, Skip? The Dallas Mavericks. Guess who the great-looking young lady was that did not want him? The Los Angeles Lakers. So that's a more appealing situation. We gotta stop thinking because man, but she don't want you. Dallas wanted him.
Okay.
That's it.
So you're telling me that Rob Pelinka just took away LeBron James' security blanket. That's what he did. No, I'm not. I'm not going anywhere. I'm walking through the door you opened. Rob Pelinka said he doesn't need a security blanket. He doesn't need an advisor. He doesn't need a shoulder to cry on. He doesn't need somebody to tell him no.
You go see now. He was running the team. He and Rich Paul, because all Clutch Sports clients was on that team.
Well, they're
running the team. Yeah, There are a bunch of CAA clients on a lot of teams.
I gave LeBron full credit for every move they made in the offseason because I believe he blessed everyone, if not suggested everyone, including the one that disqualified all of the above, which was Russell Westbrook.
So I just want to make sure. So there's only one CAA client per team. There's only one William Morris client. There's only one Excel client on every NBA roster. If that's the case, you got me, Skip. You got me dead to right. But there may not be 2 or 3 CAA clients on the roster because that's going to be a problem.
Who has more clients, CAA or Rich Paul?
I would like to think an organization would have more clients.
Like hundreds more.
Yes.
Like, thank you. Okay, so the odds are you're going to have more CAA clients just because CAA is vast, and much bigger than the Rich Paul, whatever it's called.
Can I ask you a question?
Or is it unclutch or clutch?
Can I ask you a question?
Okay.
Why didn't people have this same problem when David Falk had all these clients and it was only...
I don't know.
You don't know. Don't do that. Skip, about you know.
I don't know.
Just the same reason.
I don't have a problem with clutch clients going to LeBron.
Rich Paul. Stop saying LeBron. Rich Paul.
Do I think that Rich Paul has LeBron's best interest #1 on his list? You better believe it. His bread is buttered by LeBron James, first and last.
So let me ask you a question.
Period, end of story.
So let me ask you a question. So do you think Dwayne Johnson, I think, if I'm not mistaken, he's repped by CAA.
I don't know.
Do you think they have his best interest as opposed to, say, the 17th actor? Yes. Don't do that, Skip. You know how this business works.
But this, within Clutch Sports, it's a one and only at the top. It's just all about LeBron.
Skip, that's the way it works. I mean, a guy that's at the bank, I might have my money, but somebody that got 50, 60 million, they're gonna be on the banks. They're gonna be the priority. That's just the way it works. It's like that in every walk of life. I don't know why all of a sudden.
Okay, I got it. I don't know where we went from Jared Dudley, but something is really weird here. Because
ain't nothing weird.
Like Bill Plaschke is very plugged into the Lakers, and he's saying this is a devastating blow. LeBron tweeted devastating blow, in effect.
What?
And you're saying it's a 3, and you're trying to discount something that was very important to this organization that apparently was completely mishandled at the top.
They chose to go in a different direction. The organization doesn't believe it's devastation. Skip, what LeBron is entitled to feel how he feels.
Sure he is. No, he expressed it publicly.
But Rob Pelinka and Kurt Rambis, or the higher-ups, or who the powers to be, didn't believe so. So Jared Dudley actually had an opportunity. At least he's not on the street. He gets an opportunity to coach. Now, I don't know if he wants to be a coach, he wants to be a front office, but he gets an opportunity to stay around the NBA and to do something that he loves.
Huge blow to a title run, says Bill Plaschke. And deep down, Shannon Sharpe knows, correct, LeBron leaned on this man.
I didn't say he didn't, but LeBron he leaned on James Jones.
Did he like this? I don't think like this.
Skip, James Jones, not only was he there the 4 years that he was went back to Cleveland, guess who he brought with him? He brought Champ back with him. So clearly, for 8 years, that was that man's teammate.
Okay, but I never heard sounding board. I never heard mediator.
I did.
I never heard he told LeBron no.
Champ was all he talked about was Champ. There's a reason why he was able to parlay that and build the Phoenix Suns into what we see them today. He did that. So still don't do that, Skip. I know what you're trying to do. You're trying to start something. You're trying to cause contention. You're trying to bring something into our locker room.
Dissension?
Yeah, dissension. But guess what we're going to do, Skip? We sage this thing. I rebuke you.
Really?
Yeah, I rebuke whatever you say. You need to stop that, too.
Did I write this?
No.
A huge blow to a title run, says Bill Plaschke. Nobody knows the Lakers better than Bill Plaschke, the lead columnist for the Los Angeles Times for many years.
But there are a lot of people that when LeBron, and I ain't going to call no names, that wrote a lot of things about LeBron was coming here to bask in the sun, that he was coming here to rest on his laurels. There's a lot
Michael B. Jordan.
There's a lot of people that wrote a lot of things. And then all of a sudden, he leads the Lakers to the championship, and now they got great things to say. He fell off again. Now they write negative things again. Okay. That's the one thing I love about sports.
He led them to a championship in the bubble against the 5th seed without its 2 best players after game 1.
Is that a new NBA rule that you're telling me that I didn't know about?
And the great Jared Dudley was quoted as saying soon after the bubble championship that, speaking of the Clippers, them boys did not want to be in that bubble.
I just want to make sure I'm here. So there's a new, is that a new NBA thing? Only the number 1 seeds from both conferences can advance to the finals?
Spoke, Jared Dudley, the Oracle. Oh, my goodness. He knew the Clippers just didn't want to be there.
You're always trying to start something. Michael Jackson, you want to be starting something, but that's not going to happen here today, okay? I just want you to know.
I think I just finished it.
Onward and upward.
You hope.
Ain't no hope, I know.
You're still stuck with Russell Westbrook.
That's okay.
Good luck.
We still going to be the number 1 seed in the West.
Yeah.
We still going to be the West representative in the NBA Finals.
Maybe Russ can be LeBron's new anchor.
Oh, whatever.
Right?
You know what?
You know.
You worry about the Clippers.
Right?
You worry about the Clippers.
I'm not.
Slip.
Yeah, focus on your
What banner y'all going to hang? What banner y'all going to hang this year? Because y'all ain't win anything.
I will be back by March.
If Kawhi had been healthy, banner, y'all gonna hang that one to go with y'all opening night wins and Christmas Day banner.
No mercy. Well, Aaron Rodgers was already trending earlier this offseason with a deep throw right into a net, and now the Packers QB did it again. This time we got a side angle of the long toss that lands perfectly into another net. Let's watch this again. yeah, that's pretty good. Shannon, how impressive was this throw?
Well, it's very impressive, but Aaron Rodgers is not doing this just for Twitter so he can trend or for IG, Skip. These are throws these are his Hail Mary throws. And nobody throws the Hail Mary better than he does, Skip, because he's able to throw the ball up and then the ball starts to come down just like it's dropping in someone's lap. Skip, we practice running the go route, and some teams run it 44-2, what we had 42-4. So the ball was supposed to land 42 yards deep, 4 yards from the sideline. And they would put trash cans down there, and the quarterbacks would try to throw the ball in there. And obviously, then we'd go run it. But if you look at Aaron Rodgers, these are the throws that Aaron Rodgers is practicing right now that we're seeing right here, and we've seen it pay off in the games. Haven't we, Skip? Hey, Jim, we got this footage. We got the footage of Aaron Rodgers. This is one of the throws to Aaron Rodgers. This is the net throw. This is the net throw, Skip. Watch this.
Is it really?
Yeah, this is the net throw right here. You see it take off? You can't even see it. Now watch it tail down.
Wait a second.
That's right there in the basket. That's right there in the basket, Skip. Look at this right here, Skip. There it is again. Oh, go wheel out on you, Skip. That's the basket throw.
Really?
That's it. Boom. There it is. Whoop, there it is.
Well,
tag team.
He's falling down as he threw that one. He didn't fall down on the basket throw. Right?
There you go. Hey, there's one more. Look at it, Skip. You remember this one. This one really did you in. That's the basket throw. So we should not be in awe, Skip. When we see Steph Curry, when we see Dame Lillard make 37, 38-foot shots or logo shots come game time, why are we not surprised? Because we just watched them warm up and hit 4, 5 of those shots in a row. So when Aaron Rodgers make these Hail Mary throws and make these pinpoint throws, trust me, he's practiced these throws thousands of times. Therefore, it's just a normal reaction when he gets in the game.
Maybe he should have practiced these throws thousands of times, because I'd like to see 3 more. Just 3 more if we could, please. These actually happened in a big game, in a championship game, an NFC championship game. Whoops, that was Lazard, I think. I don't know. And then this is the Devontae airmail. What was that? You need to practice that, Aaron. Maybe, Aaron, maybe you could run here, but you force it across your body to a double-covered Devontae, and it's not even close.
No, it wasn't.
And that was first down, second down, third down. You had it first and goal at the 8, and you need a touchdown, and your coach gave up on you and said, I've seen enough. We're actually going to kick a field goal that makes it 31-26, which ended up being the final score. That was the NFC Championship game, the 4th time that Aaron has lost an NFC Championship game, and that was the first time at home.
Right.
That made him 1-4 in NFC Championship games. So I don't want to hear about the biscuits in the basket. I don't care.
But Skip.
And I don't know. You sure that wasn't a dude perfect? Did they not CGI that a little bit?
They don't CGI. No. That's what your guy do. Yeah. When he was throwing the ball into the jugs machine. That's what your guy do is CGI. But Skip, look. He seems to be more relaxed. He's been heaping a lot of praise on his receivers, saying guys have been doing a very good job. He's very pleased with this team. And so I think Aaron Rodgers is poised for a very good season. But we shouldn't be surprised by that. Should we, Skip?
Yeah, we should be shocked by it, because I'm going to remind everybody that going into last football season, just 1 year ago, right here, right now, Aaron Rodgers had plummeted for 4 straight years in both completion percentage and QBR. And it led your favorite website, Pro Football Focus, to say that Aaron Rodgers didn't even make their top 50. That's 1 year ago today. Again, we know he bounced back, but this is 1 year ago. And Pro Football Focus is saying that it was defending Deshaun Watson at that point, before all of his problems, but said, while Watson's star is on the rise, Rodgers has become ever more evidently part of the problem in Green Bay, and his own team spent the offseason laying plans to minimize his role in 2020 and replace him beyond that, obviously.
Have they given Aaron Rodgers an apology?
No, they have not, because that was a fact. That was 4 years of information in decline.
But think about this, Skip. Aaron Rodgers, before this historic season, had more touchdowns with fewer interceptions than Tom Brady. And you said Tom Brady was still at the top of his game. Now, I'm just understanding I need Pro Football Focus to do this for me. How can a guy have more touchdowns, fewer interceptions, he's on the decline, than a guy that had fewer touchdowns, more interception, but he's on the rise?
Tom Brady has won 7 Super Bowls. And Tom Brady should have won 2 more Super Bowls if not for Bill Belichick's defense letting him down. Am I right?
No, you're not right.
First Eli, and obviously the game against Philly.
See what you do, Skip? When Tom Brady loses, it's always someone else's fault. You have yet to say
fault.
No. See, but so that's what you do. I've never seen someone come to the defense. I mean, geez.
Well, it's a fact. I'm spitting facts at you that you can't refute.
Skip, no, it's not.
Okay, Tom Brady should have won the first Eli Super Bowl. He did what he always does. 80 yards, touchdown,
what he always does.
2 minutes left.
No. What he always does, he was averaging 36 points a game. That's what he always does. He scored, how many did he score, Skip?
Yeah, he scored 14, which was enough to win the game.
No,
with 2 minutes left,
that's not what he always does.
Eli Manning on the other side, and Bill Belichick let Eli go 75 yards for a touchdown to win the game.
Hold on, Skip.
Under 2 minutes.
Didn't he just score? Just 3 weeks earlier, he had scored 42 against this same Giants team. How the hell you go from 42 to 14?
Because he did exactly what needed to get done to win it.
No, you need to
score 18. Then he threw for a playoff record 505 yards and put up 33 points in a Super Bowl. 33 in a Super Bowl, and they lost 41 to 33 to the backup Eagles quarterback. Bill Belichick allowed Nick Foles to hang 41 on him.
Okay.
While Malcolm Butler was mysteriously doghoused for the whole game.
Okay, let me ask you a question.
What's that about?
Okay, so how did the score in Atlanta get to be 28-3?
Tom Brady should have 9
So let me ask you a question. How did the score get to be 28-3? Did Tom Brady not get the ball?
Yep, he did. And one time he threw a pick 6 at the end of the half. And I read the other day
that was Coach Belichick's fault.
I read the other day that the Falcons were celebrating at halftime, ready to pop the corks. And then what happened? Tom Brady happened.
Whoa, Tom Brady. Right? So I'm just trying to figure out.
In the last quarter of that game in overtime, Tom Brady threw for 246 yards.
So I'm just, well, help me understand this. With about 24 minutes left in the ball game, the Falcons had 28 points. Somebody ended up winning 34-28. How does that happen? So why would they?
It's always funny to me how you have to change the subject off a guy you cannot defend.
You changed it.
No, you did.
You did.
Well, you always tell me Aaron Rodgers is the greatest thrower of the football ever. Well, this guy's the greatest thrower. The guy we're talking about, Tom Brady, he's the greatest thrower when it counts, when it matters.
All I said with the throws, I said it's impressive. I said he's practiced on these throws because these throws will come available in the game.
Okay.
I was just showing you a situation in which he used those throws.
And they mattered what? They didn't matter at all.
They won the game.
Okay, but it didn't get them to the Super Bowl to win a Super Bowl.
So let me
he did it one time. He got to one Super Bowl and he won it. And that's because he got through an NFC Championship game at Chicago in which Jay Cutler could not play in the second half with a sprained knee ligament and was riding the bicycle. And Caleb Haney was the quarterback of the Bears. And Aaron stunk up the second half, and they still lived to tell about it. And won a Super Bowl.
This is what you've done. You've done this with 2 people. If you don't have 7 Super Bowls, you're a terrible quarterback. If you're not 6-0 in the NBA Finals, you're a terrible basketball player. Skip, that's a very flawed way of thinking.
No, it's not a flawed way. It's the only way of thinking because one guy's got 7 Super Bowls, the other guy's got 1, and it was 10 years ago. And since that one Super Bowl, he's 7-8 in the postseason.
Let's skip.
7-8?
Skip.
And you're hyping him like he's the greatest starter of the football ever.
But you didn't. But I didn't hear you say any of that. Tom Brady went 10 years between Super Bowls 3 and 4 wins. You never said anything about him. It took him 10 years. Why not?
I always say it.
You didn't. No, you didn't.
He's still going strong, and he's going to win another one this year.
Guess what?
At 44.
All you said, he has 3 Super Bowls. He had 3. You didn't say anything about he's going 10 years.
How do you know what I said? We weren't even on the air.
We.
Huh?
You.
Okay, but how do you know?
I pulled video. Skip. You'd be surprised at what I know. You'd be surprised at what I know.
I don't even know that we talked about Tom Brady.
Oh, yeah. No, I ain't talking about No, you and I didn't. But you on the other show did. Yeah, Skip Bayless did. See, I don't know everything. I'll be the first to admit, I don't know everything. I know a little bit about everything. But what I know a hell of a lot about. And I know what you said.
I know a hell of a lot about Aaron Rodgers as the most overhyped quarterback in the history of this league.
No, he ain't overhyped.
If you put the pencil to what he has not done, it is scary bad. 7-8, and the 7 that he's won, it includes the Dez caught it game, the Mason crossbar game, 51 and 56-yard field goals. I've never seen anything like him. They somehow made it.
But see, you see what you did?
I didn't do anything.
Yes, you did. You said said Mason Crossbar game. You've never mentioned anything about Adam Vinatieri.
Okay, fine. I give you that.
So that was
he made them.
So he should have lost. So he should have lost those two games.
Did you ever see Adam hook a field goal that looked like it was way wide left and it suddenly drifts back in? It suddenly goes hook to slice and goes over the upright?
Did it go in?
What?
Did it go in?
I don't know how it went in. It's the weirdest looking field goal I've ever seen. It's like there was a crosswind inside Jerry World, and there's no wind inside Jerry World.
You get 3 points if the ball goes through the upright.
Well, it was lucky. And how about getting Odell Beckham Jr. after he took his receivers to South Beach?
You blame Aaron Rodgers for that?
No, I don't, but it's just luck that you get him and he drops 2 big balls in the first quarter, and all of a sudden you get to cook the Giants because Odell cooked him when he went to South Beach.
So what about Pete Carroll? Throwing the ball on the 1 yard line, not giving the ball to Beast Mode.
Okay, so that's about Tom Brady, but we're talking about Aaron Rodgers.
I was talking about Aaron Rodgers. You keep bringing up Tom Brady because the way to try
I'm
to
talking about the 7 wins in there. He beat Joe Webb in one of those 7. A receiver starting at quarterback for the Vikings. He beat Kirk Cousins when he was still
the way I look at it,
Cousins.
the way I look at it, if you've lost at some point in time to Nick Foles, Joe Flacco, and Eli Manning in a playoff game, ain't no way you could be the GOAT.
Oh, really?
Ain't no way you could be the GOAT. Nick Foles can't even start. Nick Foles is the backup the backup.
Tell that to Bill Belichick.
Hey, no, whoa.
Tell him.
I'm telling you.
Does Tom play safety? No, he doesn't.
You see what you do, Skip?
I don't do anything.
See, if Tom doesn't win, it's always someone else's fault. Tom can't play safety.
Is he the GOAT?
Is he? Play corner?
Yes, he's the GOAT.
What about Malcolm Butler?
You've acknowledged he's the GOAT.
What about Malcolm Butler?
You've tried to retire him 5 straight years on the show.
What about Malcolm Butler?
What about him?
Did Tom Brady intercept that ball?
Yeah, why didn't he play in that Super Bowl in Minneapolis? Why didn't he play a lick? He played the most snaps in the regular season. He doesn't play in the Super Bowl. Huh?
Jenny, I know we've gotten off topic, but that was a very impressive throw. And those throws that he works on in practice, and the reason why he's able to replicate a lot of that stuff that he does in the game is because he's practiced it.
And all I'm saying is he had a great year last year, but he could not validate it by winning the first home NFC championship game he had. He stunk up the fourth quarter right on schedule, and the GOAT beat him twice last year, once in his own house.
Every time someone has a great season, that doesn't automatically mean they followed up with a championship. Michael Jordan scored 37 one year. He didn't win a championship. He scored 34, 35 another. He didn't win a championship.
Now we're comparing Aaron Rodgers to Michael Jordan.
No, what I'm trying to do is saying just because someone has a great statistical season, that doesn't always mean they're going to follow it up. Peyton Manning, the year he had 55 touchdowns and broke the record with 5,400 yards, they got thrashed in the Super Bowl.
They did.
The year that he ended up getting benched, came back and started the last 2 games, they won the Super Bowl. Skip, there's a lot of direct correlation between being great in the regular season and also winning a championship.
Okay. All I know is the quarterback you have crowned on this show as the greatest thrower of the football ever.
He is.
It's the most overhyped quarterback I have ever encountered in all my time in this business.
3 Super Bowls, 3 MVPs, a Super Bowl MVP, the greatest touchdown to interception ratio, the lowest interception ratio, the highest quarterback rating of the season, the highest quarterback rating, completion. Just stop it. You need to just stop right now, Skip Bayless.
1 in 4
I will not
NFC
tolerate
championship games.
I have a feeling Aaron Rodgers is going to keep us very busy this season, guys.
He got some feeling,
lots to talk about. A lot of do coming. This should be really fun.
No mercy.
The Athletic had 4 writers break down the AFC North, and the Browns are looking strong. Each writer predicted the Browns would end up with the best record this season, with 3 of the 4 predicting 12 wins for Cleveland. This bodes well for Skip's early Super Bowl pick of the Browns facing the Bucs. So, Shannon, do you actually see the Browns making the Super Bowl?
I don't. I'm not even picking them to win the division. I'm going to take the Ravens because I trust Lamar Jackson more than I trust Baker Mayfield. Skip, I can make a case. Talent for talent, roster top to bottom, they might be the most talented roster. When you look at their offensive line, look at their running back, look at their skill positions, look at that defense and what they upgraded, they can go toe-to-toe with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Agreed.
But you know what it comes down to in this league, Skip. It always has and it always will. You're not running your way to the Super Bowl because what's going to happen, they're going to force you. Eventually, a team will say, you know what? we're not going to let you run it. We're going to play you man-to-man. We're going to make you make throws in the tight windows. Can you do that on a consistent basis? And for me, I think this is one of the 3 toughest divisions in football. You look at the NFC West, and you look at the, I forget this division, Pittsburgh, AFC North. There's another division. I can't think of it off the top of my head, Skip. When you look at, AFC East, 3 teams can legitimately make the playoffs out of that one division. You got 4 teams in NFC West that can legitimately make the division. But I'm going to take Baltimore because I trust Lamar Jackson. I trust that he'll get incrementally better. Now, every receiver that he got is injured. So I just don't know if they're going to have enough to field a team. Hollywood Brown is injured. Bateman is injured. Yep. Sammy Watkins is injured. The big receiver is injured. So, Skip, I don't know if they're going to get enough time to gel. But I just like the way Lamar, I just believe he'll just get better and better. We know that defense is going to play. Wink Martindale is going to dial up all the plays. They get physical. They got Marlon Humphrey. They got Peters. They got a very nice, I would have loved to see him keep Matthew Judon, but I like Justin Houston. Justin Houston still got some tread on the tires. Don't let it fool you, Skip Bayless. And you know Wink Martindale going to dial it up and going to let him get home. So that's what I'm saying. I still believe, for me, I'm going to say Chiefs. I like the Chiefs. I like the Bills. I like the Ravens. I like the Titans. I like the Browns, all in that mix. But all things being equal, I say Chiefs, Browns, Ravens.
Okay. And you played once upon a time for the Ravens, right? And though you bleed orange, you have a little bit of purple running.
Yeah, I got a couple of pictures up in the Ravens complex.
I actually thought you looked better in purple than in orange. That's just me.
I mean, I like the black. I mean, the black and purple.
The black and purple really works.
Yeah. I didn't get the all purple uniform.
Yeah. I look pretty good in black too, right?
Yo, you already know you're getting buried. When you come out here, you already know on a Friday. You already chalked it up.
Oh, so you think I'm coming to my own funeral? Okay. Well, I'm about to give you another funeral right here, right now, because I got the Browns not only going to the Super Bowl, but winning this division because they are as loaded as the Bucs are on paper, except for the quarterback.
Yes.
And yet I do believe in Baker Mayfield. I told you ahead of that draft, I would take him 1 overall, and in a shock to many people, they did.
Yeah.
And I believe he will continue to back that up because right before your very eyes, and I'm not saying he's Tom Brady or will ever be close to Tom Brady, he grew up last year over the last, maybe 11 games that he played without Odell Beckham Jr.
Well,
and I don't think there was any coincidence. So my only cause for pause here is Odell. And I hope he can blend back into this mix. He's obviously supremely gifted.
Yep.
And maybe he's grown up a little bit. Maybe he's been humbled a little bit. Maybe he's sort of seen the forest for the trees.
He ain't been humbled. He's been hurt. He's been injured.
Okay.
So once he gets that back, and I believe he's back.
Well,
so
I haven't heard that much from him, which is a good sign. So maybe he's...
I heard a lot from
Have
him.
you?
And he been good. He ready.
Okay.
But hold on.
Well, then, so why wouldn't you pick the Browns?
In 17 games. What you got at record?
I don't know. I haven't done a record yet. I just know they're going to win the division.
No, they're not.
Yeah, I will do the record before opening Sunday.
You want a case on that?
On which?
Oh, no, win the division.
Just the division. Not the Super Bowl, right?
No, the division.
Okay.
You over there bumping your gums?
I'm bumping them hard because I got them winning the division. Okay, you got a case on that.
Okay, see.
And by the way, you didn't say a word about this other team that plays in Pittsburgh, and they have this quarterback named Roethlisberger who looks like he turned back into Big Ben to me. The more I watch him in the preseason, I say, that guy can still play. That guy got Pittsburgh to 11-0 with a noodle arm last year. Looked like he was throwing like Dak when he was hurt.
And what did I tell you? I said, Skip, they're not as good as that record. And what did I tell you, Skip? I said, Skip, they're not as good as that record.
Okay, that's fine. Well, he couldn't throw it 5 yards last year.
What they gonna
now
do
he can really throw.
What they going to do with that offensive line, though?
Okay, it'll be just fine because Mike Tomlin can flat out coach. And every year he just keeps putting a pretty good team out there.
I'm not going to deny that he can't coach.
And I believe their defense will be a little better than it was last year. And they got weapons and they got a quarterback who will make a case. Once again, I believe he will be the best quarterback in this division.
No.
Because he has been for years on end.
Yes, there's no question. He's been the best quarterback in that division with the exception of maybe a year here or there. But I know your quarterback is the third best quarterback in the division. That's what we know.
At the end of the year, he was the first best.
No, he wasn't. Didn't Lamar beat him twice?
Okay.
Went to his building and beat him with an IV.
Okay, over those last 11 games that he played without Odell, Pro Football Focus ranked Baker Mayfield the 4th best quarterback in all of pro football behind your man Aaron Rodgers, Deshaun, and my guy Tom Brady. 4th on that list of the last 11 games, including the playoffs, was Baker Mayfield.
He wasn't better than Baker Mayfield hasn't been, and not since college, been better than my homeboy. You know that. I know that.
I never said Mahomes.
They had a great time.
He just played better
than
Mahomes did. Yes, he did.
No. My homeboy he had a golden opportunity in the divisional round. My homeboy got hurt.
Yep.
That was his golden opportunity to show what he's made of. And what did he do?
He did not play great, but he didn't play poorly, and he did win his first playoff game against those Pittsburgh Steelers, and he was highly impressive in that game.
But I'm just telling you, Lamar Jackson had the IV, ran out there with the IV pole. They had to take the IV out of his arm. And what did he do? In Cleveland, put foots in him.
I got the Browns, then I got the Steelers, then I got the Ravens in this division, and I think the Ravens are going to be in danger of not making the playoffs.
You want to put a case on that, too?
Lamar is going to throw to whom?
You want to put a case on that?
No, not yet. Maybe right before. I got to see how they lead up to the season. We still have 2 weeks, and then I might put 5 cases on it and put foots in you.
Wait. I don't even worry about Lamar. Lamar going to do Lamar's things.
So just for the record, Cleveland has ranked by Pro Football Focus the best offensive line in pro football.
I'm not even arguing that.
I can make a case they have the most dynamic running back duo in pro football.
Oh, well, that's not even close.
Not even close. And these are some of the players that they added in the offseason. Jadeveon Clowney, who's going to make Myles Garrett's life a lot easier.
Yes.
And they also threw in Troy Hill, who I think is the best slot corner in the league. And John Johnson can play safety with the best of them, so they'll add him at safety. They added Takk McKinley for some depth as a pass rusher, and Malik Jackson. And all of a sudden, I'm looking at the defense when you've got Denzel Ward at one corner, Greedy at the other, and Troy Hill as the slot corner. And Grant Delpit will be back, I think, at safety coming off his Achilles. He's not sure. He's not listed as a starter yet, but I assume he's going to play a lot. That's a loaded football team.
Oh, yeah, Skip. I'm not arguing that. I'm not debating. They're talented. Top to bottom, you can make a case.
And by the way, speaking of your position, you got Austin Hooper at tight end. You got Njoku. You got that Harrison Bryant, who started to show big flashes as a rookie last year.
Yes.
And obviously Odell and
But Donovan. You got the 3rd best quarterback in the division.
No, you welcome.
Hold on. You said Baker Mayfield better than Ben and Lamar?
No, I think he's going to be the 2nd best quarterback to Ben. 2nd best to Ben, and he will have a better year than Lamar.
Say it with me slowly. Lamar.
Boy, I've seen Baker light up Lamar and company.
He did it one time.
Yep.
But I've seen Lamar Jackson win the MVP. I've seen Lamar Jackson go to his building and beat the brakes off it.
I think I'm going to be right about this one. Yep.
I saw Lamar Jackson beat the progressive out of him. He beat the progressive out of him. You know, he be cleaning up the stadium and beat it out of it.
Really?
Sure did.
Somebody's talking purple right now. Somebody's blinded by purple.
Your day coming very, very soon, bud.
Yeah, I got this. Is going to be the year of Baker.
Ooh, I like the way that sounds.
First of all, Baker was the #1 pick. If they redraft, he's going 3rd in the draft behind Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen. If they redraft today, he's going 3rd in the draft. Slade, he wouldn't.
We'll see how you feel after this football
I feel good right now.
From day
I don't need to wait to after. I can feel good right now.
I think this is the year for him. I agree.
No mercy.
The good news for the Cowboys is that Dak Prescott appears to be over his strained lat muscle. Offensive coordinator Kellen Moore told reporters that when it comes to Dak, quote, "We're not looking at anything from a limitation standpoint. We're playing football. We are ready to rock and roll." The bad news is that Dak hasn't played in a game since October when he broke his ankle, and there still isn't any indication Dallas will give him any snaps this weekend. I know, Skip, of course, wants that. But, Shannon, if Dak doesn't play Sunday and he hasn't played since October, what would you expect from him week 1 against the Buccaneers?
Well, Skip, guys normally get off to a slow start after they're coming off significant injury. And normally if they come off injury, Skip, they play somewhat in the preseason, you'd like to think. So I'm expecting Dak to probably get off to a slow start. Now, I'm not saying he's going to throw for 100 yards, but he's probably going to be a little rusty because he's not going to have the rhythm. His mesh points are going to probably be off being in a situation like that. But he's got 2 weeks in between now and a week from yesterday, 2 weeks from yesterday, to get ready for September 9th against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. How much can they build him up without setting him back? Skip, you just can't throw 12, 15 throws a day and then because you expect Tampa to clobber him. Well, if Tampa gets ahead early, what is that going to force Dak to do? What he's been doing the last 2.5 years, Skip, falling behind, throwing a bunch of times late in the ball game and ended up with somewhere between 30, 35, and 50 throws. So if that's the case, how do you do that when you've only allowed the guy to throw the ball somewhere around 20, 22, 25 times in practices? So I think he's going to get off to a slow start. I think if he can throw without having any setbacks, where he's not, my arm is sore and I really can't throw, as long as he doesn't have setbacks. But I still believe he's going to get off to that slow start because that's what normally happens. Guys get off to a slow start coming off significant injury because they're like, okay, Am I back? Am I all the way back? And it's going to take some time for him because, like I said, Skip, he didn't get that pop in preseason. He didn't get any of these reps in a preseason game. And I know preseason, you can script it and it's a lot of vanilla stuff, but you still need that. So I would say he gets off to a somewhat of a slow start the first game, and he can probably build as long as he doesn't have setback with that shoulder. Okay. I don't think the ankle is going to be a problem. I think the problem will come from that shoulder.
Okay. I'm on record. If I'm Jerry Jones, the coach of the Dallas Cowboys, I say Dak plays 2, 3, 4 series, whatever it takes, this Sunday, high noon in Dallas, final preseason game. And they've had 4 to everybody else's 3, except for Pittsburgh, that they played in the Hall of Fame game.
Correct.
So if he does not play on Sunday, that will mean that he has not played in all 4 preseason games.
Correct.
That will mean he missed the joint scrimmage against the Rams.
Correct.
That will mean he's missed much of training camp because only yesterday was he finally unleashed.
Right.
Only yesterday did the wraps come off, no pitch count, no limits.
Well, we don't count that as training camp, Skip, because when you break your original location, you're no longer in training camp. Once they left Oxnard, they're no longer in training camp.
So we saw Dak get all the way only to July 28th at Oxnard because on episode 1 of Hard Knocks, we saw that something went in his shoulder.
Correct.
In that practice, it was right before what was supposed to be the first padded practice at Oxnard. So he's had virtually nothing in the preseason, and he hasn't played for, what are you going to say, 11 months. It was October 11th against the Giants. That would mean this would be even more unfair to Dak than it was to Tom Brady a year ago when he got thrown into the fire at Drew Brees on opening day with no preseason.
Correct.
That was unfair, and you know the outcome of that game. And he threw a pick 6 in that game.
And Tom looked rusty.
He looked rusty. Well, he was in a brand new offense, so he's like, I can't figure it out. And he's throwing to Justin Watson, who fell completely out of the rotation thereafter, because he threw a pick 6 on opening day, and he threw a pick 6 in game number 4.
Right.
Okay. So he's just trying to figure it out. Well, I think you would see a Dak in the first half at Tampa on solo stage opening Thursday night with the world watching, the NFL world watching.
Right.
I think you'd see a quarterback who looked for a while like he'd never played quarterback in a game before because that's how rusty he would be.
Tampa defense can make you look like that. Hell, they had Pat Mahomes. I'm like, they had Pat running for his life, like Pat didn't know what was going on.
Never in the history of this league has a Super Bowl winner been able to bring back that much of its roster because it brought the whole roster back. I don't know how they did it. I won some due off it, but starting with Shaq Barrett, I don't know. But he did take a hometown discount. He came back. And all across that front, they're all there. JPP and Sue and Vita Vea, they're there. And the 2 linebackers who are just flat-out studs are there.
Was
he came back.
He came back,
He came back. And we had Devin White on the show, and he's just a delight. And I think he's going to light up this league again this year because he was coming at the end of the year last year. Didn't he make the Pro Bowl?
Yeah, he about to get. He gonna get a big. He about to be a $21 million linebacker at the end of this season.
Got it. But this season, he's a Buccaneer.
Oh, yeah, he ain't going nowhere.
And that secondary is young and talented, and it's just going to grow up another year. And Todd Bowles is as good as it gets as a coordinator. That's what Dak is up against on opening night. That defense just got crazy hot at the end of the year and annihilated Brees. They retired him, right? Yeah. They sent him right into retirement. And they did a number on Aaron Rodgers in the 4th quarter, and then you know what they did to Patrick Mahomes. So the point is, it's a mismatch. Dak with no preseason getting thrown into that, And they got a point to prove. We were no fluke last year. You don't think they're wanting to make a statement? Mm-hmm. So they're going to try to, I would assume they try to feed Zeke because he looks fresher, he looks leaner, he looks quicker, he's a sleek Zeke.
Yeah. Who was the number one rush defense in football last year?
Okay, I got it. But at least you try to stay in the game by trying to get 21 going a little bit, where you could eat a little bit of clock. And by the way, Brady's got as deep a group of receivers as you will ever find in the history of this league on depth.
Yes.
Ooh, you got weapons everywhere. You got O.J. Howard back from Achilles. He's
and the thing is, the starting slot guy this year is going to be Antonio Brown. It's not going to be Scotty Miller.
Okay, and Antonio got his knee fixed.
Right. It's not going to be the Deontay, the little guy, the little returner.
Yeah, I know.
They got a couple of reps. That's going to be AB. Now Mike Evans has a better feel, a better understanding of Tom and where he wants to.
Got it.
Chris Godwin. Gronk is going to be Gronk. Gronk will be a factor later in the season and in the playoffs. Man.
I got it.
Your Cowboys got their work cut out for them.
Jerry, you got to play Dak Sunday.
It don't matter.
High noon. Play him.
Dak, Roger Staubach, Troy Aikman.
I don't know. If you give me Roger, I'll take Roger.
It ain't gonna matter September 9th. It don't matter who y'all quarterback is.
Probably right.
No mercy.
Tomorrow, J.D. Martinez and the Red Sox take on the Indians at 4 Eastern. Then at 9, MVP candidates collide as Fernando Tatis Jr. and the Padres take on Shohei Ohtani and the Angels, all on FS1 and the Fox Sports app. Well, in his 13 years as a starter, Aaron Rodgers has won a Super Bowl, but it's been over a decade since. While talking to reporters yesterday, Rodgers got into what expectations for this season look like. Take a listen.
Look, I think we all know what's at stake, and I talked about that a little bit the other day about perspective and how important that perspective is. It's title town. It's championship or disappointment just about every year. I think we're all just going to try and enjoy this one a little bit more.
With that in mind, Shannon, how disappointing has Rodgers been as the Packers starter?
He hasn't been disappointing at all. Rodgers is a 3-time MVP. He's a 9-time Pro Bowler, won a Super Bowl. I think he's a 3 or 4-time first-team First-team All-Pro. It's hard to win Super Bowls. And I think the thing is what has happened is that we measure everything by Tom Brady. And if you measure everything by Tom Brady, every other quarterback has been a failure. And I don't think that's right. There have been 19 quarterbacks that have thrown at least 400 passes in the playoffs. Rodgers is has the number one passer rating of them all. Brady is number 5. In 5 of his playoff losses, his defense gave up at least 37 points. Aaron Rodgers is 10-1 in the playoffs when his defense allows 25 or less points. This is what his defenses allow. In 2012, his defense gave up 579 yards to San Francisco. They gave up 531 in 2009 to Arizona. They gave up 493 to Atlanta. So, Skip, for me, there have been times that Aaron hasn't played well, but it's kind of like Tom. You mentioned Tom in the Super Bowl. They had over 600 yards of total offense. But if your defense doesn't stop anybody, it's hard for you to win a game. And more times than not in the playoffs, Aaron's defenses have come up small. So I don't think there's nothing disappointing about Aaron Rodgers. Nothing. It's just that if you compare him, and if you compare any quarterback, even if you compare Joe Montana, you can say that's a disappointing because one guy's won 7 Super Bowls. Tom has all the records. He's going to have the most passing yards, the most touchdowns, and that's a rarity. It's a rarity that a guy that when he leaves the game, Skip, all the records and the most titles he has, Brady's going to have that. But you can't measure everybody by Tom Brady because then it looks like, well, man, he was terrible. He wasn't very good. I don't think anything about Aaron Rodgers' career has been disappointing. Would he have liked to win more Super Bowls? Sure. But if you just look at his resume, he's going to have he has a very impressive resume, and it's only going to get more impressive. He's not done yet, Skip.
Really?
Let's look back, and when he's all said and done, if he only has one, we can reconvene and have another conversation. But I think Aaron Rodgers has done great.
Well, he's going on age 38 this December, so here we go again. And your big brother played in what is called Titletown, so you knew early on what the nickname was.
Yeah, I did.
From the Lombardi years when the Green Bay Packers owned the NFL.
Yes.
It was Titletown. So Aaron has now started 13 years in Titletown with 1 Super Bowl to show for it. He's 1-4 in NFC Championship games. I would say by Green Bay Titletown standards, that would rank as an overall disappointment. I think most Green Bay fans would say that's not up to our standards. That's what they would say. And now we look back at even last year. What was he working with? Well, I was here. Aaron needs more help. He doesn't have enough. Well, last year he had what Pro Football Focus said was the #1 receiver in pro football in Devontae Adams. And he had the second best, according to Pro Football Focus, pass blocking line in pro football. Right. Second best. Well, that's pretty good. And now, to his credit, he is raving about how deep his receiving core has gotten because he has added, that was his choice. He needed Randall Cobb back, and Gutekunst said, I'll throw you a bone. We're trying to make peace here. Yeah. I will give you Randall Cobb. On top of Valdez-Scantling, on top of Allen Lazard, and obviously with Devontae. And he says, with those 4 receivers we have at the top of the depth chart, that's pretty special, said Aaron yesterday, right? Yeah. And it is. And by the way, the defense last year gave up the 9th fewest yards in the league. So it was decent. I'm not saying it was dominant, but it was decent. And what do they have to show for it? Well, Aaron got all the way to the NFC Championship game and stunk up the 4th quarter, and they lost. Right. And if we go back a year ago, they were also in the NFC Championship game, and you talked about how San Francisco ran them off the field.
Yeah, they'd have 300 yards rushing, didn't
Aaron did get the ball a few times in that game, and he had a QBR of 23 at San Francisco.
How many yards did he throw for?
Well, it was just horrible.
How many yards did he throw for?
Well, I don't even care because QBR said that is horrible.
But I'm confused. Why does you care when I say how many yards Aaron throws for?
They got run off the field.
Yeah. That's what happens. Oh, was Aaron playing defense? Was he playing linebacker?
No, but he did get the ball a few times, as you always
know. All right. No mercy. All right, so during an interview, Browns defensive lineman Myles Garrett said after retirement, he'd consider celebrity boxing. He also added that he would, quote, beat the brakes off Logan Paul, but then added he had bigger fish to fry. Jake Paul was quick to defend his brother, telling Garrett, quote, stick to football, my friend. My brother sparred against all the Gronkowski brothers who are 6'5", 6'6", 6'7", and he took them all down in the same sparring session. Shannon, if they boxed, how would Garrett do against either of the Pauls?
I'm going to take people that's been doing something longer than somebody that hasn't. People just, you got to respect the sport, Skip. You just can't, just because I'm big and I can do this. No. The more muscle you have, the more oxygen it requires to fuel those muscles in order to make them do something. That's when that lactic acid build up. Yep. I've boxed. I've hit the mitts. I've hit the heavy bag. When you get tired, the first thing you want to do, drop your arms. Put your arms on your hips or put your hands on your hands on your legs. And guess what? Somebody knock you out. So if Myles Garrett want to take this serious and in the offseason start boxing and get acclimated to it, okay, come back and talk to me. But just to walk in off the football field and beat somebody, hell no.
I'm pretty sure either Paul brother would box rings around Myles Garrett right here, right now with no training. Myles Garrett is a freakish specimen of an athlete. We get that. Bigger, more powerful, we get that. But I watched Logan trade skill with Floyd Mayweather and sort of hang in with it. He knows how to box. Jake definitely knows how to box.
Skip, you got to know how to roll punches, see the punches coming. You know, they're going to walk him into a punch. It's more, Skip, you just can't look at something, well, I can do that. I just read a stat where 40% of America say they can compete in the Olympics. At what?
At what?
People that can...
Chess.
No, they say soccer, swimming, and basketball is what they could be really
It's unbelievable. I mean, I guess good for you having the confidence, but no, I don't think so. I agree with that. Guys, great stuff.
Let's go, Tyron.
Have a good weekend. Enjoy all your games. Will Dak play? We'll go there Monday. Heard us next.